contagious, and churches is a healthy heart can be outrageous. So guard your heart from the start. Tune in to churches healthy heart.
Next guest is a mighty woman of God, as well as so many other titles. And I am so grateful that she's honored us with speaking words of kindness. Lorraine Dobbins.
God for you that you would agree and accept this opportunity to be a part of the Be Kind season. This is the fourth season, and that God allows us to meet people. And when you get to meet their heart, it's more than just passing by them. So I want to share some kind things about you because, yes, ma'am, God is so merciful and kind. And then, if you will, after I zip my lips, just share something kindness that on your heart. But girlfriend, when I met you, I don't know how many years ago it was, but when I met you, and I knew you came from up north, and it was like I just never met anybody like you. And we're so individual, but you are not superficial. If you're not smiling, you're not smiling. You don't put on airs. Some people, they can smile and stab you in the back. And you, this is kindness, because I don't have to try to figure anything out. But it took me a long time to figure out that you was not, you was different. You was not superficial. What I saw was who you are. And your courage, it takes courage to do what you do. And that's what I just love in you. And I can mimic that because you are strong and courageous. And another kind thing that I need to share with you, it was years ago, I've told the story, and I'm standing up running my mouth, call myself doing Bible study, and I said something was a little crooked, and you stood up for the truth. As kindness to not allow falsehood to go. You said, no, that's not true. I was like, oh, she don't like me, because we're not used to people being honest. Some people aren't, especially in a group setting. Then another kind something that I want to say about you, I've not saw one like you, how serious you are about being a mother and protecting and caring for your children. Sometimes I feel like I know them by the mothery that you are when you talk of Skeeter and you talk of this, and it's just like a matter of fact, I'm their mother, I'm here for them, and I'll tell them when they're, so that's a mother when you don't sugarcoat and you speak up. And then we don't know your people because you from up north, but you lay them out at the altar and give us an opportunity to pray for them. And that's a kind gesture where you trust in God to let us hear that you are a mother that loves her children. Girl, now let me tell you something else. Kind. Had seen this. A young lady at our church, I'm not calling any names. This was huge kind for me. I love her, but you loved her at a different level of loyalty and mothering. Every treatment she had, I didn't know until it was all said and done. Mother Lorraine, my mom went, I'm like, do who? You know, I don't always say, but I was like, girl, Lorraine ain't better help you. How'd she go? Which she went, but you, that, and then you would talk about her later, because I don't always say, but you would call her your daughter. And I could get emotional because that's a kind thing. You didn't birth this child, but this young lady became your daughter. And then something else kind you did, you would have her to come over and eat. You mothered her in your presence, with your presence, and you mothered her with your possessions. Because I would see some of your daughters walking around with your purses. And I'm like, you what? What kind of person is this, girl? So I was watching you all these years. And then I didn't know really how you felt about me. And we was at a luncheon for the mothers. Girl, I could cry now. You said the kindest words to me. You said you probably don't think that I like you, but I've noticed. I was what? And that just was so kind. You didn't have to say that to me to encourage me, girl. That's a kind, strong, courageous, and everything don't go your way. And then, girl, another kind thing that just blew me, how you took ownership of those elderly people. They're my seniors, and you was protecting and doing what the Bible told you to do, and they're my seniors and standing in the gap. And I was like, oh my God. And not only that, Lorraine Dobbins, the kindness you show when you wear that black and white, girl, when you be, mama called it ushering, when you be ushering, with the posture of a godly woman, protecting what's coming in and out. And then when you was ushering, being the usher of these kids, my grandbaby, girl, you wanted them to be on point, no nonsense. That takes kindness to care enough to train and to teach. So you not only was kind enough to share you, and you ain't the healthiest cookie in the jar, but you never stop. But you kindness to the little people to make them stand for. And I just heard your name the other day. I went to lunch with a couple of the big tall kids, mama, who does her. But anyway, she was talking about you. And then you kind to the older people. Because one time I said something, they said, no, we got to see what Sister Dobbins is going to do. I thought, oh, okay. Well, okay. So to God be the glory. So sis, I thank you. When people, you may not even know they're watching. And then how you love your husband, girl. You not only love your husband, you like your husband. And that's a kindness right there too. And I mean, for you to be calling yourself Nepo's baby, I'm like, look at this. This is a woman of God. Ain't no shame or shy standing up. So anywho, so that's, I mean, I could go on and on, but if you will just share whatever's on your heart where you can encourage somebody else somewhere else, it could be based on you or however, but just pass the kindness, girl, because you already passed it to me. Thank you.
Well, there's quite a few, but first of all, I like to pass the kindness to Forest Baptist, because I knew when I first came here, after being there a couple of Sundays, I really wasn't welcome. And I just want to thank that they had the patience to wait to finally learn who I was. And that, you know, and I want to thank them, because people can still not like you and not welcome you. I mean, I've been at Forest Baptist 23 years, well, 24 years. And, you know, the church, they didn't have to like me for 24 years. And I know I stepped on some toes, but I do hope that the main thing that I did, they know I did it out of love for God, for my church, and for my soul, because I'm not a Bible quoter, but I do know what God says. And he holds us all responsible, from the highest seat in the church house down to the babies. So that's one thing. If anything happened to me, let them know that I thank them and I love them. You know. Then the person is not here any longer. That was Joyce Pollard. I think everybody know I loved her. That woman was a godly woman, a loving woman, and she cared about not one or two, she cared about everybody. The whole length of time and I learned from Joyce, watching, the whole time, I'd never heard Joyce say an unkind word about nobody. I never heard her talk about nobody. And she taught me sometimes when we had a thing, I said, I know I can get out of line. If I do, we had a thing. I said, you just pinch me. That was kind of like, you know, our thing. Because in order for me to grow, I had to listen to a leader, someone, a mentor. And Joyce was that for me. Now it's fine, it's passing on. It's sad, but a lot I want to pass it to, they're gone. Sister Cardell, I don't care every Sunday, she hunt you down. She'd hunt you down for that grab you by your face and give you that kiss. And there were mornings I needed that. That kiss meant a lot to me. You know, we all have ups and downs, and so with me being so far away from home and my close friends, I used to tell Napoleon, you brought me down here to punish me. And I had to learn two things of moving here. I had to let my church home go. It was hard. I was born in that church. We had 5 generations in that church. From my grandmother to my mother to my daughter to her daughter to her daughter's daughter. And so, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And true, things were different in the church here than my church at home. And I had to learn how to adjust to that. And I had to learn, why are you here? Why are you here? For real. And as I learned that, I grew. And it's what helped me to finally welcome and say a Forest Baptist as my home. I have to thank the women. I can't think of her. Well, Sister James. Everybody knows Sister James. And I never can think of the one in Lexington. Her husband is a minister.
Roz Atkins.
Yeah, Atkins. Those 2 women, I thank them, and I pass my happiness to, if anybody don't know them and you need to know some Christian women, Sister James and Sister Atkins, and what they do is so beautiful. And that's really how I became, I think, who I am. Going to those retreats, listening to those women, from the young ones up to the real mature ones.
Cha-cha says a healthy heart can be contagious. Cha-cha says a healthy heart can be outrageous. So guard your heart from the start. Tune in to Cha-cha's healthy heart.
Retreats, listening to those women, from the young ones up to the real mature ones, and I've learned so much. And it wasn't the last one I went to, but Pigeon Forge is when God finally got a hold to me. And let's say the Holy Spirit took over. And from then, I have not looked back. So I pass my happiness to them 2 women who pass it all the time to everybody. But if you ever tell anybody, if they ever run into those 2 women, you want to know them. You want to know them. And I'm trying to, it's a lot of people I could pass on happiness to, from just my friends and our community. Lord knows, I pray for them. I pray for our kids. And I think I pray for them. And I just hate they didn't have what I had. I hate they didn't have what my children had coming up, the village. That's the worst thing we lost, was the village. And that's where we lost our children. Because even in that village, I had girlfriends that didn't go to church, did not come from a church home. But they would say, I'm going with you on Sunday. You seem to, it don't bother you not to go to the movie on Sundays or go skating, Well, everybody that really, all my other friends, we were in church. Everybody we knew was in church. We might not all been in the same church, but we were in church and we were very involved in church. I've been ushering since I was 12 years old. I told Lord, I have to give it up now. And it's hard for me because it's getting to the point where I can't stand on that floor anymore. Age and my illnesses have caught up with me, and I have got to pay them attention. Because I do believe, and I know God gives you signs. And he's telling me, there are other things you can do that don't require you on your feet. They'll have to carry me out the food pantry because I've never been hungry. And if I have any opportunity that passing out food to help somebody else eat, I want to be there. Because I would have hoped if I was in that situation, somebody would have gave me something to eat, And so I can't think, mostly my happiness really now, and what I'll pass on is this book.
Come on now.
This is my Bible. Minister Bishop challenged us before the pandemic, which he's done it before. He does it every year, to read the Bible in a year. And I did. I finally read the Bible in a year. I didn't miss a day. When I didn't feel good, I read it because it was my encouragement. It was my strength. And the more I read it, the more I enjoyed reading. And I've read it, and then I started in January. I said, okay, I done read it. Now it's time for me to study. And I started with the New Testament. I just got to read mine for today. And and I'm still at it. But the more and more I read, the more I learn, the more I love. So who I pass other than that, my happiness off to is, and he already knows that's God. Because that pandemic, it brought me to a screeching halt. And it caused me to do other things and have time for things that I never had time for because I was too busy doing nothing, really. I really wasn't doing nothing. As I tell, which I'm sure it didn't hurt my husband's feelings no more, I said, you know what? You realize how much money I saved during that pandemic? He said, what? He said, I don't see where you saved no money. I said, but I did. I said I wasn't going shopping and stuff. He said, well, that's true. He said, but you might have saved that much, but you didn't save me that much because you had the bathroom and master suite redone. He started talking about things I did. But he said, but they were good things. They were things that we needed. We always need to keep our home intact. He said, and if you remember, when we got our condo, we asked Pastor Jamal. He came over here and blessed it. He said, and part of that blessing is we've been blessed in all time. And part of it is God's blessed it. Let's keep it where he wants to come and keep it up. Because if we ever have to sell it, we don't want to give nobody no junk. We want them to want it, So that's
it,
all I
Lorraine.
can say. that pandemic, it was the best thing that could have happened to me. The blessing was that God did not let me get it. And I did lose close people during the COVID. But and I learned God don't make mistakes. He was shutting us down. He was closing up his house because he was saying, you don't want to come no way. So I'll just close it for you.
That's good stuff.
You don't want to serve me. So I'll keep you home. I'll affect you where it hurts. Your job. I mean, we got hit with a whole lot. And a man told me the other day at work, he said, isn't it a shame how much meat is? I said, that's true. Well, it gets to the point. He said, pretty soon we ain't gonna be able to eat. I just told him. I said, well, I'll always be able to eat. And he said, how? I said, because my God take care of me.
Girl, that's it. That's it.
And he said, I'm glad I stopped in here today. He said, because see, I had forgot where our help come from. I said, well, now you know.
Yes, ma'am.
He said, I'm not gonna worry about it no more. I said, that's all. He gonna make a way.
You just passed the kindness, girl. That was it. Because you keep talking about the word of God.
And I was gonna say, and that's my kindness. There was a time I would not outwardly say that. But I have found more and more, like I said, reading the Bible and now going back to study. I'm learning, and it's getting easy for me to say. I remember when the young lady was crying at work, and I asked her why was she crying. She said she had lost her mother and couldn't go home. So I turned to leave, and then I went back. I said, can I pray for you? She said, yes, ma'am. And I prayed for her. Well, I had to go out and thank God, because there was a time I wouldn't even done that. I'd have been like, I wish I could pray for her. I'd be wishing I had the nerve to do it. And we don't need to wish for the nerve to do God's work.
Come on now. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. I mean, you have said a lot. It's to step out on faith. And you preaching the word when you said, I did it. He gave me the words to say. That's somewhere over in Luke. So girl, I ain't gonna hold you, but you have said it, and I'm gonna tag a whole lot of people because you have passed the kindness to a lot of people, and they may not even have known, like you may not have known the difference that you made in my life and so many others. Like the young lady I met yesterday, your name came up. So to God be the glory, and we will continue to press in and pass the kindness, and that's by giving Jesus. That's really it. That's it.
And I'll tell you about it. Napoleon, you're right. I don't just love my husband. I like him. He's my best friend. And it's sad to say it. I wouldn't have this. This part you can cut out. But I've always said, Lord, if something happened to him, what I couldn't do, I couldn't make it. And then I had to go back and ask for his forgiveness. Because if that was to happen, I'd make it. I've lost my mother, my father, my grandmother. I've lost a grandchild, and brothers. So, we have to be careful what we say sometimes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And I had to repent that, because no matter what, he's there. And we all gonna take that road. We all gonna take it. I don't care how poor you are, and I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how ugly you are. I don't care how fine you are. That's one road. We have nothing to go.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I thank you, sis. You just preached the word. We can drop the mic because you just said it. And I love you and I thank you. And we're going to say ta-ta from Cha-Cha and Sister Lorraine. All right now.